Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes because I know many of you just signed on. If you could take a couple minutes to look at the bell work activity, think of the activities you do when students enter the classroom. I'll give you a couple minutes to type that into the chat. Thank you. Okay, just another 30 seconds. Okay, thank you for taking the time to do that. I may ask some of you to kind of expound on what you've put in there. It's really exciting to see some of the bell work you folks do with your students. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at John's link for the which one doesn't belong. It's a really neat one, and actually, we're going to be talking more about that in a little bit too. Jessica, you mentioned fluency practice on Seesaw. So they're able to, they just get all their devices and go into it, and you have something already set for them. How do you do that one?
Yeah. So they get their devices every morning and they go to their desk. And we have a fluency passage that is,
Oh,
if you know what Seesaw is, you can take a picture
yeah,
of it. And
right.
then the students just log in, they hit record, and they record themselves reading the fluency passage. So we
Oh,
can see how many words they read in 1 minute.
oh, that's neat. I never thought of using it that way, but that's true. They can easily record, so you get a recording of their fluency. Very neat. Thank you. And Jessica, your question of the day, Jessica H.
Yeah, the question of the day. I mean, this was when I was doing online. So they would log in, and a lot of times it would be questions to get to know them better, like what did you do over the weekend? And it's kind of nice because they could fill it out in the Google Classroom so all of them could see the
Oh,
responses and then they can comment on a couple of them
oh,
as well.
nice.
Um,
Yeah.
but in school, I just do morning work. So they just get math and ELA problems and they just get to their desk and do like 10 of them.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Gordon, what's your workplace readiness contract?
That's just sheet, and then they fill out. The students fill it out. It has what they do for each period, like periods 1 through 7, and then at the end of the week, well, at the end of the week, I'll review it, and then I'll write a comment to them, and then they'll go home and actually take it back to their parents, and their parents will sign off on it, and then bring it back, and then they'll put it in the binder that goes in the classroom. That's just something for them to fill out every day, what they're going to do for each period for that day.
Oh,
Monday,
neat.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I see Kendra's morning message, reading fluency, journaling, practice spelling. How do you do that one, Andrea? Or your sight words?
So students have a word workbook, so they just practice spelling their sight words in their books or reading it with a partner,
Uh
as
huh.
well as the sight words.
Oh, okay. That's a good one too. I never thought of that. Kim, what is your focus wall?
The focus wall shows the students what they're doing for the day, so I don't get lots of questions as they enter the door. They can just, look for themselves. And also, I have a daily affirmation at the bottom that they can look at, and we all speak out together once I'm done with attendance.
Oh, neat. What is an example of one of your? Is it affirmations you said?
Yes, affirmations. Like,
Yeah.
I am unique and special.
Oh,
And
neat.
after we speak that aloud, I just remind the students that, in my own words, how important each one of them are. And if they forget it at any time and need help to remember, come and see me, because I can
Oh,
easily remind them how important they are in our life.
wow, that's really neat. That's a good SEL thing too, right? Do you have like a place that you go where you have a collection of them, or do you just Google them up and
Actually, yeah, I go to Life Vest Inside.
Life Best?
Life
Oh,
Vest.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
can you type it in the chat? That is really neat. I
yeah,
like how you do that, and then it makes them feel positive, right? It's a good way to start the day. That's
yeah.
really nice. Thank you, Kim. All right, so thank you for posting that in. That's a good segue to today's topic, which is bellwork sponges and transitions. So the agenda is up on the slides there. One other thing we're going to talk about are signals that we'll use to help with classroom management. And then at the very end, we'll review the portfolio requirements. Oh, thank you, Kim. Oh, Life Vest. Yes. Does that go along with that video of when they're kind to others and they do a
Yes,
good deed and pay it forward kind of thing? Oh, that
yeah.
was so good. I think in our last class, somebody shared that and I showed it to the kids after that. Oh my gosh, they keep asking for it. They said, "Oh, someone wasn't here that day. Can we show it again?" And
Yeah,
then some of
get
them knew
there.
the song, so they kept singing along with it too. And I
Right.
thought, wow, it was really powerful though. Thank you for putting that in there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with bell work. You folks have such a wealth of ideas. It's always exciting to hear what you do. And I often will take some of your ideas and incorporate it into my own classroom as well. So thank you for sharing that. Next slide, Christy. So basically, as you all know, it is an activity where they can pretty much do independently. And it's a time when teachers try to take their attendance, check homework, or whatever you need to do during the morning block as students come into the room. But the main thing is that they're really able to do most of it on their own so that you can do whatever else you need to do without having to always be there to give them instructions or to help them. Okay, Christy? All right. So the setup, most of you are very familiar with it since all of you have some kind of bell work set already, but it really just takes about 5 minutes approximately, depending on what you need to do. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but generally it's posted in the same place. I know someone mentioned a focus wall, so I don't know if that's just a common area that you have something all the time, but it's always pretty much in the same place so they don't have to go looking for it and think, where is it this morning? Where is it now? What do I have to do? But it's always there so they can find it by themselves and can start working on it independently as well. And it definitely serves a purpose. So I like how many of you mentioned that your bell work is like a review problem, a practice of the spelling words, a practice for reading fluency. So it's something it's not new material, but something they can get more practice on for their skills. Okay, Christy? So one example is something that John put a link into the chat box for, and it's which one doesn't belong. I love doing this one with my students, and if you're not familiar with it, it's really just a display of 4 different items. It could be less, but generally 4. And the students will have an opportunity to look at it and say, which one of those items doesn't belong, but then they don't stop there. They have to explain why. So with online learning, I had to include the numbers because it made it so much easier than them trying to explain to me over the internet which one doesn't belong. But now they can at least give me a number, like they'll say one doesn't belong because. So anyone wants to give us a try with this first example? Which one doesn't belong and why? You can either just open your mic and chime in or type it in the chat, whichever way is fine. Kim,
I'll
go ahead.
go.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, anyone, go ahead. Was that Martha?
Yeah, okay, I'll
Okay,
go. Number
go ahead,
four, number 4 doesn't belong because it's 5-sided.
5 slides. Good. Kim, did you want to add something to that?
Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, the
Thank you.
same one? Okay. I see Kendra also said 4, and Jessica as also. And then Ayami, thanks for putting in your because. So she said 1 because it doesn't have equal side lengths. Good, 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 good. Yeah, so that's just an idea of how you can start getting some vocabulary in. You know, like Ayami's talking about equal. Martha's talking about the number of sides that object has. So it starts making them more aware of the items up there and the differences between them. And I've also seen where they keep asking the students until someone runs out of an idea that's not been said. But if one item is not said, let's say nobody said 2, sometimes you could push it further and say, why would 2 not belong, or why would 3 not belong? Nobody said 3, so kind of pushing them a little bit more to give you more information about which one could not belong possibly. All right, Christy.
Can
So
I add one thing?
Oh yes, please, Martha, go ahead.
Yeah, so we use this in math all the time. There's a
Yes.
website. Do you know the website? wodb.ca.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
got shapes and numbers and all kinds of interesting stuff. And it's really good, especially for lower kids, because there's a lot of different correct answers. So we
Yes.
find that it gives them some confidence to speak up.
Right.
So I'm just going to type the website into the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Okay, and I see Ayami also going back to a 2 because it's shaded perfect. Thank you. So what I wanted to do was stop. And like Martha said, there's so many great websites out there, a lot of good examples already ready for you to use. And it's not only limited for elementary because you can do it really up to high school with the different types of which one doesn't belong problems. There's things like fractions, numbers, whole numbers, bigger numbers, all different types of things. But I wanted Shannon to share a bit because she took it another step up and she tried to make this a little bit more local to her students here at her school. So she created this bell work or these pictures for which one doesn't belong. So Shannon, you want to tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. So, Martha, I used that website that you posted quite frequently and became bored with it. So I kind of, because I did it every single day, so I ran out.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know, right?
Yeah.
So I had to take it the next level, and I just decided to start making my own with bell work, which one doesn't belong. One thing I wanted to point out too, I use it for my SEL or not my SEL, but my English language learners and my special needs students. I call on them first because everybody gets a turn, right? And so usually they can identify something too. So it gives everybody a conversation piece. It's not just for typically your higher level thinkers, but everybody can partake in this one. So why don't you guys partake in this one? Go ahead and tell me which one doesn't belong for anyone. Go ahead. You can, like Jackie said, unmute and go ahead and share. No, number 4 is not American. Yep, that works. Oh, okay. Number 4, because it's not a breakfast food. Kim, why doesn't number 1, 3 has a shell? Yep.
What is number 4? Is that lumpia?
It is.
Oh, okay, got it. I was trying to figure that out. Okay.
So why would number 1 not belong?
it's not meat based.
It's not meat-based. Great, thank you. And so like there's all sorts of things because it's a starch. Yeah. So some of the things my kids have come up with is number 4 doesn't belong because it's the only one not on a round plate. Number 3 doesn't belong because it's the only uncooked food. So yeah, there's all sorts of things. So you guys can, it does take time, but once you kind of start making these, they become fun. And you could even put challenges out to your students to create them. And then just go around and take pictures. And there's lots of ways to expand this and just kind of keep growing it. I actually have a file of all of my which ones do not belong. So I'll be happy to put that in the Google Classroom as a resource to this section. The other thing I would do is to buy myself time, which Jackie's going to talk about a little bit. The purpose of the bell work is I would create a booklet with 4 squares on it because I would see my kids 4 times a week. And so every page was 1 week. And we would do this every single day. They would come in, they would get their book. They would do their which one doesn't belong because it was on the board. And then we'd have a conversation about it before I began. So it bought me some time to give them their work time so I could do my stuff that I needed to get done. So, yeah. Jackie, was there anything else you wanted me to share?
No, that's perfect, Shannon. And I also missed one of the slides that has the sponge activities, the next couple more slides where they need to be in groups, Shannon. So I apologize. I missed that one. But if you don't mind putting them in similar grade level groups, it would be great. And we have, Christy, what was the count for attendance today? I didn't notice.
We have 9.
9. Oh, okay. So whatever grade level groups you can, elementary is fine together or secondary is fine together. That's okay, Shannon. 2 or 3 groups is fine. Or however it works out for you. I apologize. I know what it's like to put them in groups by grade levels as I did last week. Okay, or last session. So bell activities are really things that students do upon entering your classroom. The next topic we're going to look at is sponge activities. So what is a sponge activity? Go ahead, Christy. Sponge activities is really a term coined by someone named Madeline Hunter. And when you think of a sponge soaks up things. And what this sponge activity will do is soak up precious time that could otherwise be lost. So if you think about it, you have 5 more minutes before recess. What should you do in that 5 minutes? It's too little time to start a new lesson, but yet you need to figure out a way to keep those students, I guess, thinking and so you have minimal classroom management situations. So these are some examples of sponge activities that you could do during those last 5 minutes or 10 minutes of class before your next session, etc. And one of them I have, oh, you can go back, Christy, is that TH on the side there on the left is you can just put whatever you're working on, perhaps in language arts. We've done digraphs. We can say, okay, let's put up a TH and think of all the words you can think of that start or have TH. So the students would get out their composition book, write TH at the top and start listing as many words as they can. And you can time them. And then at the end, you can have them share out. And if someone comes up with a word that someone's already said, they can just cross it off their list and you can keep going until you've had all the words that the students came up with said. So it's just a real fun way to do it. And it's kind of also a review of skills that we've been working on, but something that's used to really review some of the academics we've gone over. The cookie jar is another way or another type of sponge activities. So over the years that we've done our sessions, I've lost my cookie. I don't know where it's gone because we brought it to presentations and passed it around and shared it. And then it never came back at one of the sessions. So the cookie jar is really a way to incorporate poetry into our day. Poetry is something we hardly get to during our day-to-day curriculum. But what you do is on that cookie, which is just a round piece of paper, one side I had M&Ms on it with chocolate chips, and on the back we would just type a poem. And then we would have these cookies with different poems placed into the cookie jar. And whenever we have those few minutes left, somebody would come in, pull out one of the cookies, and then we would read that poem to the students. And they would have a time of poetry. You could talk about the poems, talk about how it's organized, what is that called. And some are not even familiar with the term poetry, especially in the younger grades. But it could be anything on that cookie. It could be something, some kind of math problem too, as well, that they solve. Another example I've seen is where they would have something called Stump the Teacher. So Stump the Teacher was where the teacher did his or her lesson in science, and the last 5 minutes, they would ask the teacher would ask the student, think of a question that you could ask me that I can't answer, and it's based usually on the topic they just presented. So it was a time for the students to really think and challenge the teacher and think, I wonder if I can ask this teacher this, and they wouldn't know the answer to that. But you could just see their minds going as they tried to stump the teacher with a particular question. The other thing with that student's name, Joseph, is you could have like just a name jar or a name can. I have my students with numbers on popsicle sticks. You just pull one of the sticks out or names out. And for example, Joseph. And what we would do is everybody would go around and say something kind about that person's name that you pulled. So it's kind of a nice SEL lesson or the SEL activity, and it helps them feel good about themselves. So these are just some ideas. In a little bit, you're going to have a chance to share some of the things you do, if you do. And if you don't, you'll start picking up some new ideas as well. Okay, Christy, next slide. So how do you set it up? Basically, it's fun. And as we mentioned, it's based on something that they've already learned. It's not new information, but it's something that is kind of a review or gives them practice. Usually it's a whole group, a whole class that it's done with. It could be a group or it could be individual, depending on what kind of activity it is. But really, it doesn't take a lot of prep. It's easily implemented, and you can adjust the time of the activity or sponge activity that you're giving. So some may take a long time, some may take a little, but it's easy to adjust. Okay, Christy. All right, so here is where we're going to get ready to put you into a group, and we're going to try to do it as similar as possible grade levels or grade ranges. And you're going to talk about a sponge activity you do with your students. You may want to think about taking some notes because you also may want to ask the presenter a clarifying question. What's going to happen at the end for this particular module is that you'll choose between implementing a new bell activity or a new sponge activity. So if you take careful notes of something that someone else shares, it might be something you want to try. So use the time to ask whoever's presenting any clarifying questions you have, so you'll be able to write up that piece in your portfolio and implement it if that's your choice to do that. So just some ideas there. So we'll be breaking you up into groups, share an activity, and we'll give you about, let's see, maybe 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, have one person from the group ready to come back and share with the whole group the activity that you do. And if you want them to actually do it, you're welcome to do that as well too. Meaning if you want the rest of the groups to do it, you're welcome to include that. So any questions you might have before we break you up into your groups? Okay, so Shannon will be putting you in groups, and we'll leave this main room open. In about 10 minutes, we'll have you come back. Thank you.
Just a friendly reminder, if you did not receive an invite to a room, you will be conversing in the main room here.
Okay, so I think we're in this group.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. How are you guys?
Okay, how's your morning?
Oh, good. Saturday.
So what grade do you teach?
I teach second inclusion. What about you?
Okay. I teach first grade general ed.
Oh, nice. What school are you at?
I'm at Fern in Kalihi.
Okay, nice. I'm on the west side at Leihoku.
Oh, okay.
And
Um,
Kendra, are you there too?
I'm kindergarten on at Whitehead Elementary on the Big Island.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So different sponge activities. I have different activities for different times of the day. So in the morning, my sponge activities, if they get done with an assignment, I always have like lists of things that they can do on the board, but it's all about our reading time. So they can choose from like Raz Kids or iReady. They also have books at their desk that they can read. So it's really anything reading based. Or they can practice their sight words or their spelling words. And then in the afternoon, we do math. So if they're done with activities, they can either do iReady Math, Extra Math, or Prodigy usually. But I want to like come up with more like fun math games that they could do. It's just been hard with COVID to like let them get into groups. What about you guys?
A sponge activity that I could think of is called Three Strikes. So I'm gonna show you guys. So like it kind of like deals with math. So you have to basically it's teacher versus student. So you come up with like an equation. You put, well, first of all, you put your numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 9, like on the board. And then you like come up with the equation. So for example, like this, you put it blank, and then they have to guess, like they'll say a number, and then if they guess the number right, you put it in. If they say it wrong, then you put like you do a strike. So they have up to 3 chances to figure out what the equation is. And then so like if they get it, then they get a point, and then if they don't get it, then the teacher gets a point. But then once they get like the first number, it's kind of like they have to use their their thinking to like to see what the other numbers are. But
That's cool.
yeah,
So it's with you though. It's not like an independent thing. It's with
yeah.
you.
So like that's for like if there's like a couple minutes before like what they were saying it before the bell, like before recess or something.
Yeah.
But the things that you were doing, I have that in my classroom too, but I call it Maydo. So it's like for early finisher. It sounded like early finisher work. Is that what yours is? Yeah. So like usually those things are like they can do. They can pick from like puzzles, or like they can go on IXL. They can go on Get Epic. Did you guys have that at your school too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Stuff like that.
IXL?
IXL, it's like a it's a website. Your school has to pay for it though, so they
Okay.
can practice skills. Like there's lots of math skills. It goes up to high school, I believe, and like language arts. And there's also science on there and social studies, but we don't. I think you have to purchase it, so we only have the math and the language arts portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
I like your 3 stripes activity. That sounds fun.
I'm trying to think about something that I do. I think the closest thing I can think of is like sight word practice, like when they're lining up.
Mhm.
And then I also do that early finisher stuff. I have them do like fill out the hundreds chart. I don't know. I can't think right now. Sorry.
Too, you have kindergartners, so it's kind of like more of a play kind of thing. Because I mean, with this whole COVID thing too, and they don't have a lot of social time.
Yeah, they don't.
I feel like this year we're trying to like do a lot of things because they're so behind. So it's a lot of academic. There's like no downtime. So, giving them like some time to play in class. Like after maybe like early finisher kind of things where it's not too much of a like work. I think that's important because I can see them like they're burnt out at the end of the day. I'm burnt out. So just giving them like a couple minutes of just, playtime, not really
Mhm.
like much academic, like hard thinking, because they've been doing it the whole day, is also important for them as well, because none of
Yeah,
them know who they're interacting with, right?
I agree. I mean, I feel like because, they all have to be 3 feet apart and they're not, they don't get a lot of time to really socialize with each other. Like in the morning, I'll usually have them, like, one thing will be like practice spelling words, but they have to do it with each other. So they'll go and like sit around the room and just like get their whiteboards out and practice, but at least they're kind of together, because they don't get that. It's like
Yeah.
they need to learn how to collaborate and be in a team again,
Yeah, that's also, yeah, because I feel like this year I couldn't do a lot of group work and stuff like that. So just having just having them interact and socialize was also important for them, because also too last year was even worse. But I don't think lots of them went to school. I have a few kids that were on the computer the whole time. So
Mhm.
this is like basically their first interaction with other kids, because I'm first grade, right? So just having opportunities for them to just be kids, and just interact with one another. I think that's important for like social skills.
Mhm. Yeah, I use a whiteboard a lot. They'll like draw. I mean, it's because it's at their desk and I don't have to pass it, like walk around to pass it out. So yeah, they use that a lot.
Yeah, we have whiteboard circles on all of their desks too, which is really
Oh,
nice. I don't know if you've
is it like
had
a sticker?
those. Huh?
Is it like
Yeah,
a
it's
sticker?
it's a sticker circle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are really nice to have because you just like pull your whiteboard marker and they don't even need a whiteboard.
Mhm.
Just like
Where
they
did you get them from?
I got them on Amazon. I think it was like a 12 pack for like $7 or something like that, $6. So yeah, definitely a good buy. We use it like all the time. But yeah, it's been a weird year. All the different changes.
And it's
Kendra,
just,
how old's your son? Is it a son?
My daughter, she's 5. She's in kindergarten now, and then I have a 7-month-old.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm due in 3 weeks.
oh,
Oh no.
So I'm having a girl and I have a 20-month-old little boy running around.
Oh, I don't know how I would do it with 2 in diapers. Oh my god.
I know. My mother-in-law's coming out and she's gonna be here for a month with me. And I was like, your job is to potty train Lucas. Like, please potty train him, because I can't do with the 2 in diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
At
good
least
luck.
you have an older one, so she probably helps a lot.
Yeah, I guess.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Too helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
So we have another minute or so, or a couple minutes. If you don't mind selecting someone to share back to the whole group, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
what do we have to share again? What the sponge activities were?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I think our group kind of sounded like we have like a may-do list, and then just some sponge activity. What was your
Yeah,
sponge?
you could do your 3 stripes one and then the sight word practice like with the teacher, and then there's another one that so we usually do the knockout game with sight words or with addition cards. So they'll just get in 2 lines and they'll line up and then we'll put a flashcard up and whoever wins gets to stay in the game and the other kids get to have to sit back down. So we could talk
What is it called? Knockout?
It's called knockout.
Two lines, and
Yeah.
then whoever did first.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I think my kids
Yeah.
will love this one. They're so competitive.
I know they're so competitive. And you can like spread out the lines. So like, you could even do like 3 different lines, or I've done 4 before where it's like these 2 against these 2. I don't know.
Oh,
Get
wow.
creative. But
How does that work, Jessica? You ask a question. Is that what you said? And then
yeah, so they get in like usually 2 lines or whatever, however many lines you want. And I have flashcards, so they'll do either addition problems or subtraction problems. They'll do sight words, whatever we're working on. Sometimes they'll come up their whiteboards and like have to spell a word that I'll say that we're working on. So there's so many different ways, but if they win, then they get to stay in the game. If they lose, then they have to go sit down, and they still have to participate when they're sitting down because they can either write it or like think about like, how to get to the answer. So
Oh, I like that. Wow.
yeah.
Such neat ideas. And I like your idea about that circle board. Sir, I didn't know about those. Those are neat.
The circle whiteboards.
The circle
so-
whiteboards.
They're so
Yeah.
handy. Because the
Yeah.
whiteboards look so gross after a while. They're little
I
whiteboards.
know.
They like constantly
Yeah.
erase on them. I mean,
Yes.
the circle whiteboards, they get gross too sometimes. The kids are picking at them. They're way cheaper than whiteboards, so.
Does it stick to the desk too? Is it kind of
It
like that
does
sticky?
stick, and I haven't actually tried to unstick it because this is my first year using them. So I have no idea what that's going to look like at the end of the year.
Oh.
I'm probably going to be like scraping it off, like, so you guys know.
It sticks pretty good then.
Yeah, it sticks really well on their desk.
Oh.
So
Got it.
I think I stuck it on there in October, and all of them still have it on there. But there's like a couple of them that have like started like picking at it, so it's like half the board is
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
Stop picking at
Right.
the board. Leave it alone.
Wow. Very neat.
Andrea, do you want to share? Or do you want me to share?
It doesn't matter. Do you want to share?
Sure. Why don't I'll share the different sponge activities. Do you want to share your 3-stripe one though?
Oh yeah, I can share that.
I like your visual of it
Oh,
because I'm
yeah.
like trying to figure out like how to like explain the.
I know. I was like thinking at the time, I was like, how am I gonna explain this? So I had to do it on my paper.
No, that's a really good.
I think we got
Yeah.
it off Pinterest one time. Like me and my colleague, we got it off of Pinterest. There's 2 of us that's why in our grade level, so we're always like going back and forth with ideas and like activities.
Wait, there's only 2 of you on your grade level?
Yeah,
That's it?
yeah.
Oh,
No, it's not. But
no.
hopefully next year we're supposed to get a 3rd teacher.
How
I have like
many kids do you
24
have?
of them, and they're 1st grade, so I have a big class.
That
Yeah,
is so many. Oh my
yeah.
God,
So it's
that's great.
not really a small grade level. It's just there's 2 of us, but I think we're getting a 3rd teacher next year, so hopefully it's better.
That's crazy. You guys have 2. We have 6 teachers.
Wow.
But our classes are like 15 to 18 kids.
That's nice. Yeah.
But still, wow.
So both of your classes have about that same number, Andrea? They're both about 20 something.
Yeah, she's inclusion too, so she's supposed to have less, but she has about 20, and then I have 24.
Wow. That's a lot of bodies, yeah. Trying to keep separate. Wow, thank you. Okay, so looks like we have pretty much everybody back now. Anyone wants to start? Any group? We had 3 different groups, so anyone wants to start sharing?
We'll go first.
Okay, Jessica.
So, yeah, we were talking about some of our sponge activities. We were kind of talking about the early finisher activities too. Like because usually if you have that time, you'll have something for them to do, like Prodigy or iReady or extra math, anything like that they can do independently. And then our group was also talking about some games like Kendra mentioned like a sight word practice game that she could do with her kids. And then there's a knockout game, if you guys have heard of it, where like you put the kids into like 2 lines and you get flashcards, or you can have your spelling word list, or you could have addition, subtraction cards, maybe sight words, whatever you want, and you kind of put it up for them, and the first person that gets it wins. They get to keep going, so they have to just keep like basketball, how they shoot it, and then the other person has to sit down and will still have to like be involved but at their desk. And then Andrea has a really cool one too that I didn't know about. So Andrea.
So the activity that I shared was called 3 strikes. So it's basically like teacher versus student. So what you do is you put the number 0 through 9 on the board, and then you think of your equation prior, and then you put the blank. So for example, you can do a 2-digit plus a 1-digit, and then what the kids have to do is they have to work together to guess what the equation is. So like the first kid goes and they guess a number. If it's correct, you put it on the where it goes on the blanks, and then you cross out the number, and then like they keep guessing. So if they don't get the number correctly, then they get a strike. So like they get 3 turns before it's like the teacher wins if they don't get the equation.
Okay, thank you. So we have a middle group and a high school group, I believe.
Yeah, we can go next. So yeah, I had Martha and Kim in my group, and also Christy was watching us. So yeah, one sponge activity that they do kind of related. For Kim's like PE, Martha presented to us. So it's called a Would You Rather activity, where, for example, like which Martha explained was like there's like restaurant A, restaurant B. Restaurant A could be paying. There's a wage of $18, but no tipping. Restaurant B, there's tipping a lot, but the wage is like $10 an hour. So the students have to think like, oh, which one is better, you know, and then you can change around like with other scenarios too. But I thought that was really good. Yeah, things like that. And then with Kim, it'd be like really with PE, like maybe air squats or something like that. But yeah, for mine would be like maybe doing small talk at the end. Maybe like, oh, like which were some good restaurants in Hawaii in Honolulu that are like local food or Italian food, and then just have them talk about that. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Gordon.
I think the next group's my group. Jessica, Kate, Ayami.
I'll speak for our group. So for our group, Ayami shared some good ideas. She plays Mafia with her students, where they have to guess who the Mafia is. And she kind of regulates just to make sure that she's the narrator and make sure that the story is appropriate, which makes sense for 5th grade. So I really like that idea. She also does knockout, like the other group mentioned. And we also talked about another sponge activity called Mystery Number, where a blank hundreds chart is posted on the board and students have to guess a mystery number. So for example, I'll guess the mystery number will be like 20. And students have to ask using math vocabulary words, is it a multiple of 2? Is it divisible by 5? Is it less than or greater than this? So, and then they cross out the ones that aren't the number and then eventually get the mystery number.
I love all your ideas. I've been sitting here making a list of what I want to take back and try on my own too. These are great ideas. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you do choose a sponge activity for your portfolio, I hope you were able to get some really good information from the presenter so that you might be able to implement it as well. Just a quick question for Jessica Solodhoro. Jessica, do you have to pay for Prodigy, your school, or?
No, it's free online.
Oh,
for the
okay.
kids. Yeah.
Okay.
All they have to do is go to prodigy.com, say they're a student, and then sign up with their Gmail account. And yeah, you can also sign them all up on a free account, like on your own teacher account. But a lot of my kids, they just signed up on their own, and so we did it for them, and they can get it.
Okay, thank you. I love that resource. Okay, so Christy, if you don't mind putting the slides back up. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna share a quick, or actually, there's more ideas for sponges and ideas for transition and sponge activities. If you click the link, Christy, sorry, could you click the link real quick so they could just see? No, we can close the ad. All right, so there is site here on Education World. It says don't waste a minute. And if you scroll a little bit, Christy, yeah, so you'll find tons of ideas here as well of other types of sponge activities you could do. If you didn't hear anything new, but you're interested in trying to find a new sponge activity, this is just a resource available for you to get some more ideas. All right, thank you, Christy. You can go back to the slides. Okay, so the next topic then is looking at signals. Signals is another really important way to get your students' attention. Should they be working, let's say, in a small group and they start getting really excited? So how do you get their attention, or how do you get them back together without having to yell or talk really loud to them? What you see here is something called a Zen chime. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I use this in my classroom and it makes a really nice soothing sound. So it's not really sharp or alarming, but when I tap it, it makes a sound and the students know that, okay, we need to stop and look back at the teacher because she has something to say, or we need to quiet down, or whatever the situation might be. But signals, go ahead to the next one, Christy. Signals is really a visual or an auditory cue, and it's a way to get the students' attention. So another thing I've seen done is where people will turn off the lights. Last year I was in a shared classroom and it was really hard to do this. So it's not something that you can just easily turn it off without affecting the other class next door. But it is something you could do to get the students' attention. As an auditory, I've seen teachers do 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and the students respond 1, 2, eyes on you. I've also seen where they clap their hands. If you can hear me, clap once, and then the students will clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. And then by then they're quieted down and ready to go again. But really think about a way that, or a signal you can use to get everyone's attention back again. All right, Christy, next one. So what you want to do when you set up a signal is make sure you teach it to the students. That's really important so they know what that signal is. And then they need an opportunity to practice it. And once they get it, you can definitely reinforce it. Another signal I've seen is something called salami. So if the teacher said salami, the students would know to stop and look at me immediately. So that's what that term salami meant. She'll just say salami and the students would know, stop, look at the teacher. I've also seen waterfall. I'm not sure if you've seen that, where they say waterfall and the students will go, shh. So it makes them stop talking to and get back to the discussion, or to the teacher if she needs their attention. All right, so we're going to just watch a quick video. It is more a younger grade type of situation, but you want to think of signals for whichever grade level that you're working with. So Christy, go ahead and click the video, please. Thank you.
An attention signal is a way for the teacher to get the attention of his or her students. And the way I use it is when my students are busy doing other work, or maybe they're getting a little bit rowdy, or I'm trying to gather them back from a big activity, I call out to them using the phrase that I've chosen for my attention signal. I'm going to teach you this attention signal, okay? So what I will do is I will say to you, my voice is on, and you guys will respond, my voice is off. Can we try that part? That's part one. Ready? My voice is on.
My voice is off.
Nice. Very good. Then I say, my eyes are on you, and they say back to me, my eyes are on you. And that way I know that I've got their full attention. Their eyes and their ears are open and they're ready for the next thing. They're ready for my directions.
A teacher likes an attention signal so you can get our attention really quick.
Okay, my voice is on.
My voice is off.
My eyes are on you.
My eyes are on you.
What I like about the attention signal is that it's a really positive way to get their attention and to call their focus back. And so instead of my standing there saying, listen to me, everybody, and kind of repeating myself over and over, it's a way for me to, in a very positive way, get their eyes and their ears on me. My voice is on. My voice is on. My eyes are on you. My eyes are on you. Awesome. And it builds a really kind of fun rapport between us as we're getting ready to move to the next thing.
Sorry, I did a John thing. My mic was off. Thank you, Christy. So this now is a real quick video about using nonverbal signals, which is also a really important way to get students' attention as well. So Christy, if you don't mind.
We all learned something, and I appreciate the time you put into really making it special. Thank you. I see a lot of friends.
Nonverbal signals keep the classroom running well by minimizing interruptions.
I clearly need to review number models. Where are you with that? Okay, so we'll get a little more practice before we...
Give me a fist of 5. Give me what you think how you did on this learning target. Give it to me. You can flash it to me fast.
Teachers can communicate messages to the whole class or individuals quickly
We're about to go right into our centers.
and silently. Students can make requests of the teacher or send messages to each other without disturbing the work of others.
Are you confused on how to do a simile? Because you gave me a fist.
I know how to do a simile, but I need help like some.
Schools and classrooms can invent their own signals, or American Sign Language can provide signals for any purpose.
What are some of the ways you can build on the ideas of others? Show me disagree. Good. What else can you do to build? Good. Add on. What else can you do? Clarify. Okay, what else?
Okay, thanks, Christy. The nonverbal signals are something I use a lot in my classroom as well. We do something called a morning circle, usually on Mondays and Fridays. And it is a way to keep the circle moving without all the interruptions of what did you say? Or can you say it again? Or we can't hear you. But using the signals like I agree, that shaka, the sideways shaka. So someone doesn't say, oh, yeah, that happened to me too. But they just signal that and the conversation keeps going with whoever's speaking. They use a C also, clarify. They want more information, but they don't want to have to keep saying what, asking more questions. So they'll just do a C for clarify, and the students will kind of give more information on whatever they're sharing. So those are really handy for keeping your instruction going without too many interruptions. But the main thing is they need to practice it and know what it is. All right. So the question here is, how do you signal your classroom for attention? Okay, and go ahead to the next slide, Christy. Oh, sorry, let's go back one. My apologies. All right, so what I'm going to do is then just do a quick, we don't have to go into groups, but if maybe 2 or 3 of you could share, what do you use in your class to signal your students back? And when you need their attention, how do you get that from them?
I put my hand up for everybody to see, and the kids put their hands up back, quietly waiting for me to start my lesson.
So they know that once that hand goes up, they need to stop talking and put their hands up too and look
And
at
eyes on me, correct.
Right, great. Thank you, Kim. Okay, a couple more ideas.
I use a doorbell sound.
Can you tell us about that, Kendra, a little bit more?
It's like a clicker that I have, and then you just press it, and then it can make different kinds of sounds.
So when you play it, then they know they need to stop. what they're doing and refocus. Or awesome, thank you. Maybe just one other idea for signals. No other? Okay, it's fine.
There's
We
like,
can
there's like the words that you can use, like chocolate and chip.
Oh, how does that work, Jessica?
You say chocolate, they say chip.
Oh, neat. I like that. Awesome. I'll use that too. Thank you. All right. Thanks for sharing the signals that you use. Next one, Christy. So the last part then of this module is looking at transitions. So a transition is whenever there's a change, something is happening. And next slide, Christy. There's really 3 types of major transitions that you have in a classroom. One is, of course, when they come in the classroom, when they enter it. The next one is when they go from one activity to another, especially when you have different subject areas for the lower elementary where we teach all subjects, maybe going from one subject to another, one activity to another. And then the third one is, of course, exiting the classroom. So we need to think about what happens between those 2 activities and how do we smoothly go from one activity to the next in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of interruptions. All right, Christy. So to think about how it's set up, you need to really think about what is that transition procedure? What is it they're going to do? What does it look like? What does it sound like? You need to teach the students how they're going to go from one activity to the next. And then, of course, just like similar to the signals and the other parts that we told you, they need to practice the transition, and then you want to reinforce it. There is, it's not a link here, but there is an online stopwatch that I've used a lot, both in face-to-face learning as well as distance learning. We're going to give them a break time on distance learning. Okay, I'm going to set the timer 20 minutes or 10 minutes. When it's up, you come back. I use that a lot here in the face-to-face learning for getting our practice books out. They have 1 minute to get their practice book out with no talking, have a pencil ready, have their page open to the page we need to be, and their eraser ready, of course. So they're sitting on the carpet. I do my lesson with them. Then I start the timer and I said, you have 1 minute now, go and get your practice book. And I start the timer. And it's really neat because some of them are so used to talking that it's like, oh, that's right, I can't talk. I'm supposed to do it in 1 minute. And you can see who's really organized and who just doesn't have their things together because they don't quite make it in 1 minute. But when it's timed like that, they kind of challenge themselves to see if they can meet that 1 minute time span before the bell goes off. And most of them are able to do that. Some at the end of 1 minute are still looking for a pencil or still trying to figure out the page they're on. But for the most part, it really gives them that motivation to, okay, we need to do this quickly. We need to get started so that we don't waste a lot of time finding our books, finding our supplies. So I like to use those online stopwatches. There's different ones. One is like a candle. And if you set the timer for 1 minute, you can see the candle burning and it gets smaller and smaller. The other one is, of course, just a typical stopwatch or timer that's used. And there's different ones as well. So very interesting. I think the last one was an hourglass. And then as you count it down, it starts so they can visually see how much time they have left. All right, so Christy, we're going to show you a video then about transitions. Go ahead.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can...
I noticed that everyone has hands free and eyes on me. Oh, almost everyone.
Transitions should be clear for every student. Purposeful, respectful, efficient.
That was easy. And thanks for your work over the last 25 minutes of class. I just wanted to check in and see if you had
any kind of like technology questions that maybe popped up as you started this work on your graph.
Transitions during lessons work best when they are planned by the teacher ahead of time to move the lesson forward smoothly.
Up on the board, our last protocol for today. There are 5 posters around the room now. When I write lesson plans, I write what it is I'm going to say and what it is I'm going to do during a transition. So if I don't plan transitions before doing them, I might not do them in the most effective way.
Directions should be given in small bites. Materials should be easy to access.
In your own seat sack, you will find a little surprise from me. I disseminated the materials this morning prior to the lesson. My students have seat sacks behind their chairs, so I had tucked away the materials that I had differentiated for them.
Transitions can be practiced regularly by students, rehearsed and critiqued by the class until they are sharp.
Let's try one more time because I want everyone's beautiful eyes on me. And now I see everyone's hands are free and eyes are on me. Much better. It's time to clean up.
Jackie, your mic.
Okay, let's try this again. Sorry. So anyway, this is the last part where we'll be assigned in groups and your group will be given one of the transition problems to solve. You're going to brainstorm possible ways to solve this transition problem and be ready to share back with the rest of the group. It's only going to be about 5 minutes. It doesn't take long to talk about these problems and solve it, but think about different ways that would make that transition the easiest to do and the most efficient. So, Christy, so what you're going to be doing is, Christy, you can go ahead to the next. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is you'll be in a breakout room. The breakout room 1 is the main, no. Does the breakout room stay as the main room on the numbering, Shannon? Or breakout room is breakout room 1?
Breakout room 1 is its own room.
Okay,
and
that's fine.
The main
So
room is numbered.
Okay, perfect. So breakout room 1, if you're assigned to that room, and this will just be random groups, you will do the first transition problem listed there. Breakout 2 will do that second transition problem. And if you go to the next slide, Christy. Breakout 3 is going to be the main room. Okay, so whichever breakout room you're assigned to, that will be the problem that you'll solve together. And again, probably about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back together. Make sure you have somebody to share out what your group talked about in terms of how do you solve this transition problem. All right, so we're going to send you to breakout rooms. Again, main room is breakout room 3 problem. Do you folks have the breakout, the transition problems? Are you able to access it? If you look on the slides, it should be there. Sorry, do you folks need help with your breakout room question? Can you see it on your side or access it?
Yeah, I just got to it. We're breakout room 3.
Yes, the main room will be breakout room 3. Thank you. Did you want to read it, Ayami, if others aren't able to access it? If you don't mind.
Okay. Students socialize too much during transitions, especially after an independent partner or group assignment has been given, but before they have begun working on it. Many students do not start the learning activity for several minutes. So it just sounds like they just talk too much. Um, for me and my class, I have teams, and they get team points for behavior. So if they do something good, they get extra points, and if they do something bad, I'll take away points. I would probably just teach them how to transition silently with a timer, probably say like, okay, you have 1 minute to do this quietly, and then if there's anyone that does talk, I'll probably take away points from their team, and then maybe teams that do it correctly, I would just go and add a point to their team so they have some um, reinforcement with the points, but we also practice doing it silently. I'd probably do that.
I noticed it said especially during group work, so maybe if instead of letting them choose their own partners, which is probably going to be people they want to socialize with, you assign partners that are a little less likely to start chatting a lot.
I think for me, my students, maybe they have trouble with like getting started talking. They maybe I need to prompt them to talk, but so I really have, but for this one, yeah, I think if they're talking too much and I need to transition to the next activity, I will do that. I've done that where I say like 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and then make eye contact with me like that. So yeah, for that scenario, yeah, just getting their attention. I think what is that? Or if I have individuals, maybe I'll use the like a timer with the LED timer. You can see it right here. Yeah. Would be like a countdown. Yeah, I can't see. Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, would we have, do you have someone who could share back? And all your ideas are awesome, and you're welcome to share each one of those. So someone could just at least share what the transition problem was, and then some of the ways that you folks talked about solving it. So any volunteers will be coming back shortly.
I'll do it this time.
Oh, thank you so much, Martha. Okay, thanks for coming back. How about we work backwards? Start with breakout room 3, then we'll go to 2, and then 1. So breakout room 3, Martha.
Okay, our problem was students socialize too much during transitions, especially after an independent partner or group assignment has been given, but before they have begun working on it. Many students do not start the learning activity for several minutes. So Ayami had the idea of a timer to get them going. She also had an idea I really like. She said she gives team points for activities like this, and that the groups that got started appropriately would probably get plus points, and the groups that didn't would lose points. Gordon said he would probably do like a 1, 2, 3 eyes on me sort of thing. And I just had the idea that if I saw groups that weren't working successfully together because they socialized too much, I would probably assign them a partner that they would tend to be less chatty with.
Great. Thank you, Martha. I appreciate that sharing. Group 2?
Our problem was that the teacher delays the beginning of activities to do busy work like passing out papers, prepping materials. So we decided that the solutions could be to divvy up some responsibilities into students, give students jobs. So they could be the ones to pass back papers. They could be the ones to, check lists, whatever needs to be done. And also, what else? What's it? Have bell work done. So a lot of this is in the morning. So to have some problems on the board while you're doing attendance, just to have something prepared. We're talking about like journaling, drawing, answering some questions, asking some questions.
Thank you. And breakout room 1?
Breakout room 1's problem was students talk loudly at the beginning of the period. The teacher is interrupted while checking attendance, and the start of content activity is delayed. So we talked about like the nonverbal cues, like the hand, finger to the mouth and hand up. We talked about verbal cues, like saying a saying and the kids say something back. So like Encanto is really popular now. So Andy was saying, she says like, we don't talk about Bruno, and the kids say like, no, no, no. Really cute.
Oh yeah.
Kim was saying that she turns on music at the start of her class, and then when she's going to start, she turns the music softer, which is super cool. And then also giving them like some bell work to do or something.
Nice. Oh, I love those ideas. Thank you. Really great. All right, Christy, next one. Okay, so now we get to the portfolio assignment. We're just about done. Go ahead, Christy. So this part is where you do get to choose one, either a sponge activity or a bell activity. The important thing is it must be new. So don't try to write up something you already do, but think about what you've heard today during the training, you heard from your peers. Think of something new that you would like to implement, and that will be your write-up for this particular entry. Next slide, Christy. Okay, so in this entry, there's 4 parts, and we want to make sure that you answer each part of the prompt. So the first one is to make sure you describe the activity in detail. Thinking back to us as readers and even PDE 3, they've never seen your activity before. So it needs to be more than 1 or 2 sentences, but really give us a lot of information. What is the activity? What is that sponge activity? What is that, or that bell work that you're implementing? I want you to also make sure you include evidence of the new bell work or sponge. So insert it right in that section in part 1. In part 2, once you've implemented, we're asking, did you have any problems? There's 2 parts to this question. If you did have problems, then make sure you describe how you addressed it or how you will address it the next time you implement it. If no problems were encountered, then make sure you explain why you think it ran smoothly. So you must answer one of those questions. Did you have any problems? And if yes, continue on with your explanation, or if no, continue on there too. So make sure you answer yes or no and explain. Part 3, you need to answer all parts of these questions here. First, you're going to describe the students' reactions. How did they react when you implemented? Did they like it? Did they not like it? And the second part, which is one that many people have missed in the past and had their portfolio entry returned to them, was did they react as expected? So think about when you're implementing this activity, what do you expect from the students? As you describe your students' reaction in that second bullet or second question, you want to make sure, answer that. Did they react as expected? You can say, yes, they did. I knew, or I had the feeling they would like it. I expected them to like the activity, and they did. And then in the third question or the third prompt, it says, explain how the activity enhanced or hindered your classroom management. This part is really important. Again, it's one section that a lot of educators will miss, or they'll only answer one part of those prompts, but you need to answer all 3 to have this part completed. Part 4, now you have answer both questions. So thinking about what you implemented, whether it was a sponge or a bell work, what parts are the most challenging for you? And what parts are the most comfortable? So the most challenging for bell work, sometimes if you have to run things off and get that prepared, or put together your which one doesn't belong, or whatever it might be, list that as a challenge if it is indeed a challenge for you. Think about what part is comfortable. Are you comfortable with giving the sponge activity because they're familiar with doing them before? Are you comfortable with them just being able to work independently on their own because they know the procedures? So really make sure you address both questions in this section. Okay, and so that would be it. Our next module is on March 2nd, which is a Wednesday evening, and it's going to be Christy's section on communication styles. And it's a bit surprising how quickly we're running through this whole course, knowing that we're already on 7 coming up and there's only 9 modules. So make sure you keep finding time to work on your entries the best you're able to, so it doesn't pile up with you at the end, because we know with this course too, because it coincides with close to the end of the school year, things get really crazy and busy. So if you have questions, please stay online after this, and we'll be here to answer your questions. If not, and you've signed up for Module 7, we'll see you on Wednesday evening. So thank you again, everyone. Have a good Saturday.
For part 1 evidence, is that like take a picture of the kids doing the activity, or like whatever the activity is?
Yeah, or you can even just put, like, if you did a bell work paper and you had to put something together, you can take a picture of that. And yeah, you can put if you put a completed one, that'd be even better to show that they've done this bell work. And yeah, but whatever that activity is, if you can put some kind of, if you just wrote something on the board, take a picture of that and caption it and say, this is what, this is the bell work that you used, or the sponge activity. So there's some evidence to show what you did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ayami. Gordon, did you have a question?
I'm supposed to make it to at least 5 live sessions. I've been making it to like kind of each one if I can, but yeah, I will have to watch the video, right? But that is like suggested, or yeah, I'm just wondering about that for the live sessions to which we've been having. We should make it to at least 5 of them, or as many as we can, right? Or
at least 5, yeah. Or as many as you can. And if you're not able to attend, then make sure you have to watch the video. Yes, that's part of the requirements, to make sure you view the video, because it is still part of the whole course content.
Right. Okay, yeah. I've been coming to, pretty much each one. And it's only maybe just one, but yeah. So I think it's better to come to it and participate and then not have to go back.
Yeah, if you're already here, you don't need to go back and watch the video or anything. It's only for the ones you are not able to attend.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you, Gordon.
Yeah, I'll keep working on the entries. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good Saturday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.